Greetings from Pennsylvania. Today I want to show you how easy it is to do quilting in the hoop with your embroidery machine. I'm going to use a very simple example, just a 3-block quilt block, and I'm going to use the PRS 100, which is a standalone embroidery machine. It comes with the perfect hoop size for making quilt blocks. There's only 2 words that I want you to remember when we're doing in the hoop piecing: outline and tack. So I'm going to go ahead and get things set up and show you what you need to do to get started, and we'll go ahead and make a quilt block in the hoop. Okay, before we get started with the actual hooping and embroidery, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit of some of the things that you're going to need. You're going to need a good rotary cutting mat. You're going to need a good sharp rotary cutter and a ruler, because you will do trimming. So you need those 3 items as basic items for in the hoop quilting and in the hoop piecing. I use a foundation stabilizer. I put the foundation stabilizer in the hoop. This is called Cutaway Light and Soft, and this is a product that I sell. I buy this directly from the mill, and it's a product that has tons and tons of uses. So we start with the foundation stabilizer in the hoop. We also need a square of batting, and you need to have your fabric selection picked out, and you're going to want to pre-cut your blocks. Now, I always pre-cut my blocks a little bit larger than the instructions say, because I like to have a little bit of fudge factor. To me, it's easier to trim away afterwards. And then you need your design disc. And the design disc that we're using today is Anita Good Design Mix and Match Quilting Folded Fabric Quilt Blocks. This has several quilt block designs on the back. I'm choosing a very simple one that only has 3 blocks, and you'll see how easy it is to piece in your embroidery hoop. So if you're like me, and no matter how hard you try, your lines and your corners and your points never match up, you're going to want to try in the hoop piecing, because it's absolutely foolproof. All right, we'll get started. I've hooped my stabilizer and I've placed the hoop into the machine. I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to sew. And remember the 2 words that we talked about: outline and tack. So the first thing it's going to do is outline the entire perimeter of the quilt block. This is going to give me an outline for where to place my batting. I've placed my batting within the perimeters of the outline, and remember that I said that I always cut my pieces a little bit larger. That way I don't really have to worry about the overlap or anything like that. I can trim that away later. I would rather waste a little bit of material and have it done right the first time. Okay, so we outline the block, then we tack the batting down. The next step is it's going to outline our first block. And again, the outline is going to tell us for what size to cut our fabric. I open up the disc ahead of time and look at the PDF instructions, And I cut my blocks according to the instructions, but I usually go about a 1/2 inch bigger in diameter. Now I'm going to lay my block down, and it's going to do what? It's going to tack. And our next step again is outline. And it's going to lay out the placement line for us for our next block. So now I want to lay my blocks right sides together because it's going to make the first seam. So I'm going to lay my fabric down right sides together. I leave a little bit of the waste from the first block, probably a 1/16 of an inch of waste over on the bottom part so that I can see, and that's going to leave me enough seam allowance. And now it's time to flip the block and tack it down. So it's going to tack it. And the next step again is outline. It's going to outline for block number 3. And now I'm going to take my third block and lay it right sides together. And again, I'm going to leave a little bit of waste on this end so that I want to just make sure that everything's covered underneath. And now I'm going to flip this and tack it down. Our block is finished. I do want to mention that in the in the PDF instructions on the design disc, they have you trimming the batting after each step where it tacks down. They have you trimming. I don't bother with any of that. I'm going to trim it all after the block is complete. Now my block is totally pieced. As far as the design is concerned, it's complete. But I would like to quilt this block before I take it out. The Anita Good design has a series of designs called mix and match quilting. The reason they're called mix and match is because all of the designs are set to the same size formats. So all I have to do is go to another quilt design. I'm going to do modern free motion, and I'm going to quilt this block, but it's automatically going to fit into this block size because I'm going to pick the same block size, which is block size B. So I'm going to go back to my home screen, and I'm using my USB flash. I'm going to select my modern quilting, which I've already put in here, and I will select this design here. So this is like a starburst, and it's ready to go. I'm just going to do the embroidery, and then we'll take the block out. Before the design completes, I paused it for a moment so I can show you a little bit about what's going on the screen here. This is showing you the design, and it's showing you the segment of the design that we're sewing, which is the last segment, which includes the quilting design. Up here is your stitch number, stitch count. There's a total of 4773 stitches in this design. We're on 3724, so the design is almost done. Takes a total of 8 minutes, and I'm on color 4 of 4, which is the last color, again, the quilting. These are options for moving the design around in your hoop. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a little bit about the screen and what was happening. We'll go back to finish up the quilting. And that's it. Now we're going to take the block out of the hoop, or the hoop out of the machine, and then take the block out of the hoop. And now we're going to trim our block. When you look at this block completed, you're going to see that the program did stitch an outline. So what you want to do is match up your 1/4 inch mark to that outline, and then you're going to trim this down on all 4 sides so that you have a perfect 1/4 inch around all 4 sides. And my block is finished. So in this quilt, I'm doing 2 sets of blocks for my quilt. I'm doing the pieced blocks, and then I'm doing a whole cloth. So we're going to finish up our blocks, and then in my next video, I'm going to show you how I like to join the blocks and finish the quilt using my build-as-you-go quilting method. Thanks for watching.